Well done, Jack. We're getting full power here.
How is progress on your end?
Dr. Harlan's still running sims, but I think we at least have a working theory.
All the models we've run so far appear to confirm biomass interaction with an active FTL triggers an abnormal buildup of energy within the drive, resulting in the formation of a temporal anomaly.
For reasons we still don't fully understand.
It is also unclear why the accident only caused the android's software to travel through time, as opposed to the more physical time jumps we've observed with the Astrea. But at this point, I'm willing to accept these ambiguities and proceed.
Wait, what exactly are you saying?
We must try it again.
What? Send Jack back in time again? You've got to be kidding me.
It's the only way. Any chance we have of eliminating the biomass lies with finding an undetonated torpedo. We must send the android back.
You talk like he's expendable.
Of course he is. All of us are. You've seen how it spreads. Eradicating the biomass is going to take everything we have, and then some.
Yeah, well, it's not just up to you, is it? Jack, what do you think?
If the end result is you being cured, is that not the best course of action?
Are you sure? There are so many unknowns here.
There does not appear to be another way of obtaining the data required. Waiting for an alternative presents a far greater risk to your safety. And your safety
Is your primary concern, right? Should have seen that coming. Fine. I'm on board. So what's next?
We're going to have to recreate the circumstances of the time travel accident.
Oh, don't tell me.
We're going to need biomass. Contained biomass samples specifically. The research facility should serve our purposes nicely.
There is one other problem. The FTL accident depleted the drive's fuel cells, and we don't have the supplies to refill them.
Then our best bet for a fuel cell will be the remnants of the Astrea. However, exploring that area may be difficult. Pesky shipboard defense protocols somehow remain active. Something off with the AI, Juno says.
Could be just as dangerous as dealing with the biomass, really. Well, Jack, what's up first? Grab some creepy crawlies from the research facility? Or dig up a fuel cell for the FTL drive?
I'll collect our biomass samples first.
Though no longer operational, there is a tram line leading from the central transit hub out to the research facility.
Understood.
So when Jack eventually returns with these volatile materials, where exactly do we plan to store them?
I believe I can convert elements of the refueling depot to suit our needs.
Need a hand?
Why, yes, Captain. Your assistance would be most appreciated.
Anything's better than just sitting here. Come on, Popcorn. Let's get ready to head out. Good luck out there. See you soon.
Juno, this appears to be some sort of communication antenna.
A signal relay, to be exact. It's a key part of Chiron Station's intranet, as well as the external comms array. There are many more of them located throughout the station. If we reactivate them, we should be able to recover any data they might have stored.
And what is it you hope to find, Juno?
It's likely that a large amount of research data is stored in their buffers. Data that should prove useful in developing a cure for the biomass.
Well, cheers to that.
How shall I proceed?
Well, there are several clusters of relays throughout the station. One cluster per major facility. The issue is that the relays within each cluster are no longer linked. Thus, manual relinking is required.
How is that achieved?
For a given cluster, you'll need to pull the activation switch on each of its constituent relays. However, that will trigger a timeout countdown. Once a relay is activated, you'll have only 25 seconds to activate another. Fortunately, doing so will renew the countdown.
25 seconds to activate each signal relay. Understood.
Charging dock restored to operational status. You may recharge your shield as needed. Though, interesting. I believe I may have found a secondary use for restoring these docks, recovering their local data, specifically because the docks normally maintain a coordination and optimization network. They contain shared data from across the station. Prior to the generator going offline, the units in irradiated areas were sharing optimizations that archives could still be used to. I'm quite confident that we'll more optimization data.
Scanning further docks should provide the necessary data.
Spectral shielding's resistance to radiation. I've added a tracker to your data tab. Optimizations were being tested on this cargo drone's maneuvering thrusters. Assuming other drones were testing similar optimizations, scanning their data ports should allow me to reverse engineer the concept and apply it to your own maneuvering thrusters, making them more energy efficient.
Copy that. I'll see what I can do.
Excellent. I'll add a tracker to your data tab.
This appears to be another form of the biomass. It detects my presence, much like the other specimens encountered thus far.
We classify it as a reticulated B biomass organism, but most people just call them webs.
Aside from their namesake membrane, webs can also be recognized by an additional nodule. It should be quite distinct. Careful, Jack. There's another form of the biomass nearby. Oh, and Jack, that distinct nodule I mentioned? Think of it as a sensor. If it detects you, it will stimulate the web's expansion reflex. Just something to keep in mind as you explore the station.
I've located a stalled tram car. There are casualties inside. Both victims of severe biomass infestation.
Any idea who they are, Juno?
I'm afraid I'm unable to discern their identities from here. And unfortunately, the station's transit logs are corrupted. I can't access passenger manifests. The only way to identify the victims would be by scanning their personal data ports. Unfortunately, our access is blocked by the biomass. As we currently do not possess any means of bypassing the infestation, I suggest we move on. You're approaching the biomass research facility. This is where the outbreak originated.
We're sure there's some contained biomass on hand for Jack to retrieve.
Logs indicate 1 or 2 containers should still be in storage. However, reaching them may be difficult due to the entire facility being under lockdown.
The tram entrance will undoubtedly be your only way in.
Acknowledged. The facility appears to be in fairly poor condition, but there is at least some power flowing.
Due to the generator being restored.
Unfortunately, I'm still unable to access any systems further into the facility. Power flow stops at the entry terminal. It appears that the systems are outright disconnected, including the physical entry bridge. Jack, you'll need to reconnect those systems to gain entry to the facility.
Copy that. There's a room jutting into this cave. Could it be part of the biomass containment area?
Negative. The room you're seeing is part of the facility's integrity monitoring system, responsible for tracking any changes in the asteroid structure during excavation. For safety reasons, biomass containment is located much deeper in the facility.
This device looks vaguely similar to the cranes we saw in the transit hub.
Good eye, Jack. That's because it's an early version of the stasis field technology used by those cranes, as well as our cargo drones and many other systems. As you can imagine, the ability to manipulate objects without direct contact has significant advantages when dealing with the biomass.
This appears to be some sort of focusing device. I haven't seen anything like it elsewhere on Chiron Station.
It's actually a prototype of the technology our containment units use to keep Dix pacified.
As in the technology that shorted out while Jack and I were trapped in the engineering bay.
Yes, though that was due to the power cycling abnormally. I assure you, it's usually quite stable.
Yeah, one would hope.
A scale model of the FTL drive on Dr. Harlan's ship. Was the drive developed here?
Not exactly. While the few FTL drives still in service were refitted here, the original design was actually reverse engineered from the FTL drives left behind aboard the Estrella. That was done by your former employer, in fact.
Wait, Atlas built them?
Indeed. Before the company dissolved, of course.
So Atlas reverse engineered their own technology from the future?
Technically, yes.
Ah, how perfectly normal and not at all confusing.
Somewhat odd to leave this case empty.
It's fairly straightforward. Our work was never finished.
It seems someone was emphatic about maintaining the lockdown.
That console would have controlled the bridge leading into the main facility.
I assumed.
I'm not seeing any backup controls in the blueprints, unfortunately. It's possible the cave contains systems not listed in the schematics. It may be worth a quick investigation.
These are auxiliary controls for the extension bridges.
Correct, but they're currently inoperable. The power conduit extending from the entrance to the main facility has been retracted, likely an attempt to contain the biomass spread. To restore power to the extension mechanisms, you will need to re-engage the power conduit to cross the gap.
Understood. I will locate and re-engage the conduit.
Just keep in mind that you'll also be restoring power to the main research facility, including any dormant biomass within.
Power switch located.
Re-establishing main generator connection. Be advised, Class 3 power fields will become active. Dormancy will be nullified.
Hey, Jack. I know you've got this as always, but by restoring power, we're undoing something that was put in place as a die-hard safety precaution.
We're certain this is the only place we're going to find the contained biomass?
Assuming these fragmented station logs are correct? Yes.
Well, that's reassuring.
Finalizing connection.
Connection established. Now receiving power readings throughout the facility. Jack, once you have the bridge fully extended, you should be able to access the facility proper. Though I suspect some areas may have additional security requirements.
Nora, the research director, would have done everything she could to contain the outbreak. But there is no containing it. This was an eventuality.
It's fortunate that your disagreement over priorities led you to be elsewhere when the outbreak occurred.
It's only fortunate if I'm right.
Dr. Harlan, if these power readings are accurate, our suspicions appear confirmed.
What's that now? What suspicions?
Educated guess, rather.
Which is different how?
We were concerned that residual power currents may have allowed the biomass to continue spreading for some time after the lockdown.
Okay. And?
Leads have likely taken hold. Caution is advised, Jack.
Acknowledged. I'm crossing into the main facility now.
Copy that, Jack.
Biomass has taken hold here.
Given that it got this far, the rest of the facility will likely be much worse.
Will the fabricator still be operational?
Yes, at least enough that Jack should be able to reboot without issue.
In the security control room, I found a casualty.
According to logs, Adler Reyes.
They must have been trying to keep the scanners running to prevent the biomass from leaving the facility.
But if someone failed the scan...
They would have had to remain behind. Unfortunately, even the scanning room itself became contaminated.
You think that's how it spread to the rest of the station?
Most likely. With background contamination, the system would have had a difficult time producing accurate results.
Jack, you are now entering the facility's lobby. Biomass containment is located through the leftmost door.
A further casualty of the biomass. In the lobby.
Dr. Brianna Leamington.
She was one of our pathologists.
This area appears to be locked down.
That's the test room. We should focus on reaching the containment area.
Electrical systems here are clearly suffering from extreme damage. The lobby's directory is effectively useless.
Good thing we've got someone who knows their way around.
Always happy to be of assistance, Captain.
I was actually talking about Dr. Harlan. But thanks.
Another one of the web forms. I still have no way to bypass.
Then try the labs. The research they were doing there might prove useful.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find.
Jack, the web in the lobby must be bypassed in order to reach biomass containment. I recommend searching the corridors for anything that might be useful. Recovery successful. She apparently died shortly after completing an emergency containment procedure. I'll play back the file.
To engage a Type 3 containment firebreak, please follow these steps. First, locate the access panel. To release it, slide it perpendicular to its housing. Please discard the panel safely. Next, grip the emergency disconnect switch. Pull it sharply. Local power systems should deactivate. Lastly, if you have any reason to believe that you are carrying an infection, please refrain from crossing the fire break. Doing so will nullify its effect.
Seizing faster than light travel in 3, 2, 1. FTL.
There's some kind of added security here.
Dr. Everett Harlan reporting. Authorized laboratory access.
Voice-activated authorization. That's a smart security feature.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
There's a switch embedded in the wall here. This must be the emergency disconnect Dr. Leamington pulled to try and slow the outbreak.
They really did all they could to try and get the infestation under control.
They knew once it was out, they couldn't stop it. All they could do was buy time for everyone else on the station.
What sort of research were they doing here?
The director was convinced a cure was impractical. So she poured everything into containment technology.
Did she have any luck?
When I left, she had everyone working on miniaturizing the insulation cloaking from our containment unit. I'm not sure how far they got.
biological specimens.
The director was always in here. Dissecting, testing. She was tireless.
She must have had a cast-iron stomach.
One of the toughest people I have ever known.
Is this some type of emitter?
It looks to be a functional prototype. I knew they were close, but I didn't know they had moved into practical testing. The basic concept was to surround the biomass with a cloak of electromagnetic insulation, preventing energy from reaching it.
Kind of like using a blanket to smother a flame.
Indeed. The idea was to build these cloak emitters as a reactive defense against the biomass, to contain it.
I can see a wide range of applications. It's
a store-led based, not a solution. I wish you could have seen that.
such versatile technology.
And it still wasn't enough.
I wonder if they moved this prototype into production.
Even if they did, it clearly wasn't enough to stop an outbreak. This is why we need a cure.
Jack, the biomass at the exit of the test lab will make it difficult to proceed. It is possible the robotic arms may be of use.
These controls are running some sort of automated procedure.
The system is no longer reachable over the network. Cut off by the biomass, no doubt. It must be an old test. Abandoned during the outbreak and resumed now that we've restored power.
I assume these microscopes were used to observe the biomass?
I believe so, yes.
Development of the biomass containment technology required research at the macro, micro, and even nanoscopic scales.
With these microscopes, the researchers would have been able to observe the effect of their containment technology in real time, with a more manageable sample size, of course.
It must have been a heavy responsibility to work so closely with live biomass samples.
It was not without its risks.
So, would you say it was more or less risky than intentionally infecting your own FTL drive?
If you have any less precarious solutions, Captain, I'm all ears.
This transparent aluminum is reinforced.
Unfortunately, that's still not enough to withstand concerted biomass growth.
Biomass at the exit neutralized.
It's possible I failed to foresee some of the cloakometer's eventual implications.
Sounds like your research director was on the right track.
Laura. She never gave up. I could hardly ever pull her away from her work.
Dr. Harlan, if I may interject, the local data I'm seeing implies that the director's efforts to develop cloak emitters proceeded beyond prototyping. Portable versions were installed in some of the X3 medtech shells. Several of these shells appear to have been left behind in the medical wing.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
I believe it may be possible to fit Jack with a similar device, a portable cloak emitter.
What is involved?
I'll need you to retrieve the data from one of the medtech shells here. With that, I should be able to reconstruct the portable cloak emitter's design.
Copy that. I'll see what I can find.
Jack, this is the primary examination room, where prototype cures were administered to volunteers. Dr. Harlan, you'll be pleased to know that your old workplace remains unaffected by the outbreak. Dr. Harlan?
That's good to hear, Juno. Thanks.
These medical beds were used for diagnostic scans?
And to monitor potential treatments. Many of my peers focused on post post-diagnosis options.
What sort of options?
Pain management, transmission reduction. Though most patients with terminal diagnosis volunteered for cure research.
Wait. There are diagnoses that aren't terminal.
If the infection is limited to the extremities and has not yet penetrated the epidermis, amputation has a roughly 40% success rate.
In emergencies, the integrated cutter, equipped by several models of the X3 shell, including Jack's, can...
No. That's enough. Forget I asked.
Let's see. Moderate store of data, but much of it could prove useful in developing a cure. Good find, Jack.
This log indicates a multitude of visitors. Some were children.
Yes, many of the station's personnel had families. Most of their children were suitably behaved. Some were not. Still, I hope they reached safety.
This toy appears to have been left behind.
Brendan Lyles. It has to be. That boy was always leaving his toys about. A habit he does not appear to have corrected in my absence. I am glad he made it out, though. Perhaps not being able to return for it this time has taught him a lesson.
It's more likely he has simply fabricated a new one.
Shush, Juno.
I'm entering the medical lab.
Doctor, perhaps you should step away for a moment. I'm sure there's still plenty of output data to parse before we're ready to initiate the experiment.
She's here, isn't she? Juno.
More than likely, yes.
Who? The research director?
I can handle it, Juno.
Are you certain?
I'm not looking away.
We have another casualty.
This researcher seems to have been helping the other one.
Dr. Adriana Lay.
She was too young for this.
Oh, God.
A researcher and one of our anesthesiologists.
Who was this person?
Dr. Franklin Teller, a fellow geneticist.
You knew him?
I knew all of them.
I've recovered her research. It also seems she received a message from Dr. McKenna with all of his access codes attached. Would you like me to play it?
Affirmative.
Beginning playback.
Hey, Adriana. I know I can count on you to look out for everyone. So I'm sending my access codes. They should get you into my stuff and a few engineering areas. The spare rations, my playing cards, whatever else. If any of it helps even a little bit, please, take it. Share it. I figure it might make things a little more comfortable for you all.
Tram, prepare for departure.
Shit, I gotta go. I have no idea how to end this. Good luck. No. Goodbye.
My suspicions were correct. They did develop a portable version of the cloak emitter. Unfortunately, the data contained in this shell is only partial. Jack, to complete the reconstruction, I'll need you to scan additional units.
Understood. This device indeed appears to be a portable cloak emitter.
With more data, I should be able to reconstruct its design. There should be additional medtech shells in the vicinity.
A keypad for the duct. Juno, could one of Dr. McKenna's codes work here?
I believe so, yes. Try 2525.
Access to the utility ducts granted. Moving through the vents now.
Tell me something, Doctor. How long does it take
What?
for the infection to run its course?
Once it becomes fully active, usually somewhere between 3 to 5 days. But most victims opt to expedite their end.
Right. So, how does the infection work once it becomes active? I mean,
The biomass drains energy directly from your cells. Your body is in the throes of widespread cellular decay. Major organ failure follows 12 to 18 hours later. But at least by then you are not in as much pain, since the infection has likely started feeding on the electrical signals traveling through your nervous system.
Excellent. That shell contained more data regarding the portable emitters. We'll need a good bit more to reconstruct the design, though. Scan complete. We still need more data. Interesting. Doctor, this shell has a log conversation regarding the director and your research.
Go ahead, Juno.
Beginning playback.
Alright, Unit 5, back to the lab. The director wants to run those simulations again.
Very. For what purpose?
I'm not sure. Dr. Harlan's ideas were intriguing, to say the least, but... well, I suppose the director knows best. Go ahead and prep the simulations. I'll join you shortly.
Acknowledge, Dr. McKenna.
Huh. So the director eventually explored your theories after all.
I didn't expect she would continue it after I left. But without the biomasses-based genetic material, it would have been as much of a dead end as containment. I just couldn't convince her.
Shields at 95%. My reconstruction of the personal cloak emitter is nearly complete. One more scan should be sufficient.
I found another casualty.
Dr. Jordan Decci. She specialized in pain management therapy for the infected. Still detecting unscanned medtech shells around the patient chambers. If you collect their data, I'll be able to reconstruct the cloak emitter for your shell. Data collection complete. Finalizing tool reconstruction. Reconstruction complete. Please visit a fabricator to install your new cloak emitter.
patient chart reveals catastrophic cellular breakdown.
Most likely an internal infection that passed through the tissue.
Does that happen in every case?
Eventually, the host is usually deceased by then.
Well, that's a relief.
Cloak emitter installation successful. This portable version is practically identical to the mounted prototypes you've been using thus far.
Excellent. A tool like this will make it much easier to get around.
Just keep in mind that its effective range had to be reduced to achieve portability. If you move too far away from your target, the tool will deactivate.
Ah. Noted. I'm back in the lobby, proceeding to biomass containment. There's another voice-activated control panel here.
Additional security for the biomass containment area. It requires the voice authorization of a high-ranking official.
Well, we've got Dr. Harlan, right? Let's get that door open.
My authorization won't be enough. We'll need someone with higher clearance.
The research director.
After a lockdown, she'd be the only one able to enter containment.
With a large enough sample of the director's vocal modulations, I should be able to synthesize her voice.
A voice sample? I don't know, even if we could find one, I'm not sure it's fair to...
Pull up my personal archive, Juno. There's just one file there.
You're sure, Dr. Harlan?
Go on.
Beginning playback.
I'm not going to be able to change your mind, am I?
I just... You know I wouldn't leave unless I had...
It's okay. A kill would change everything. You're not wrong about that. I just wish...
I know, Nora. Me too. I won't be long.
Doctor, I'm sorry, but it's not enough. We'll need more data before I can accurately synthesize the director's voice.
Echo 1, you'll need to return to the medical lab. Find Nora. If our data port is still intact, it may be our best chance of finding more voice data.
Of course. I'll head back to the med lab.
This data has what we need. A message from the research director. It's addressed to you, Dr. Harlan.
Go ahead. Juno, get your sample.
Dr. Harlan.
We need her authorization. Just play it.
Beginning playback.
Everett? I don't know if you'll ever find this, but I wanted to get it out before, well, before things get any worse. If you do manage to find this, well, then you know what's happened. I suppose the good news is we got the emitter tech to work, which, if I'm not mistaken, means you owe me dinner. Herbert, listen to me. I know you. I know you're going to try to put all this on yourself somehow. Make yourself believe there was something you'd have done had you been here, but it's not true. You understand? Don't go trying to carry that. We all knew developing a cure was virtually impossible. No one here was waiting to be saved. You're leaving. You're already doing everything you could do to try and stop this. I miss you, Everett. Be safe. I love you. Goodbye.
So sorry, Harlan.
I too am sorry. It's clear you meant a great deal to one another.
She was a good person. She deserved a better resting place than this.
I believe I have enough data to synthesize the director's behavior.
Understood. I'll return to the security panel in the lobby. I'm back at the security panel. Are we sure this will work?
No, but we can try. With Dr. Harlan's permission, of course.
Do it.
This is Dr. Nora Parikh. Authorized containment access.
Juno,
Yes, Doctor?
never do that again.